Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2019 novel Red, White, and Royal Blue. This is written by Casey McQuiston. I can never say their name correctly. Casey identifies as queer, uses they, she pronouns. An incredible author. I have a second book of hers. There's a third that's coming out. I can't wait. I first heard of this because of Young Royals on Netflix. Obsessed with Young Royals. We discussed heavily about how incredible Young Royals is. And this book was compared to Young Royals a lot. Well, Young Royals was compared to Red, White, and Royal Blue a lot because of the political aspect of what if a sitting prince of a country was questioning their sexuality openly and publicly, was involved with someone, right? How would that work? We know there's hidden gay history throughout time. Certain leaders had relationships with members of the same sex, members of the same gender. So a lot of it was hushed for quite a many centuries, many millennia. But what if in the modern time you could be open with it? You could question, you could be open with it. Would there still be some kind of scandal? Would there still be some kind of denial, forced denial? Would there be acceptance because of how tolerant the youth are? How would it work, right? How understanding the youth are. That's the better word for that. So I kept seeing this book on Book Talk constantly, just every other post was a Bookstagram post or a Book Talk post, and I was like, I gotta read this because I know it exists because of Young Rose. I have to read it. Like it's just a thing in my mind. It's the first son of the what's the term? F SOTUS, son of the United States. There we go. F SOTUS, FSOTUS, and then the HRH, His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, right? So if the Prince of England, fourth heir to the throne, inadvertently or advertently becomes obsessed and in love with the first son of the United States, who is the second child of the first female sitting president of the United States. How would this work in a mixing of the two massive empires together? Would there be the scandals? What would happen, right? So Alex Claremont Diaz is the son of Ellen Claremont, President Ellen Claremont, who was elected to be the first female president in 2016. This is an alternate timeline story, very factual alternate timeline story. So the 2016 election is Ellen Claremont, winning. And then this story takes place fall 2019 to fall 2020 of the re-election campaign of the inadvertent scandal that Alex and Prince Henry become involved in, and the winning up to the second term, right? So it's political, yes, but it's an alternate timeline, and you're reading these things and you can tell like Casey's just pissed at at what happened to the country in 2016. And having this as an alternate timeline, it's just so beautiful and so hopeful. There's no COVID involved in this. There's like, yes, there's some like scandals, but like nothing as what we had to endure these last many years. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful because it gives hope. And that was the point of all of this. The two of them, Alex and Henry, having conversations about Star Wars throughout the entire book, about Alex's Han to Henry's Leia. There being a spray paint mural of them at some point of as Han and Leia. That Alex gives hope, that Henry gives hope. I cried so many times reading this book. I laughed, verbally laughed, I cried, I gasped. This was such a perfect book. I don't say that often. This was a perfect book. I don't know how to rate this within a top 5 kind of thing, because I have many a perfect, not many, but I have numerous perfect books. We got to sit down for that. So, Alex hates Henry. They've hated it. He's hated him for quite some time, right? Doesn't know why. So the first family is attending Princess Beatrice. Prince Philip. Prince Philip is getting married, and their mom Catherine is the princess, who's the first in line, because their grandmother, right? Grandmother His daughter is Catherine, who's a princess. Catherine had Philip, Beatrice, Henry. Henry's the youngest. He's fourth in line to the throne. There we go. Okay. So we're at fall 2019. We're at the wedding of Prince Philip and his wife. And Alex is forced to talk to Henry. He doesn't like Henry. Doesn't know why he doesn't like Henry. It turns out it's lust. But he doesn't know why originally he doesn't like Henry. So they're talking, and then there's champagne involved, and Alex inadvertently falls backwards and grabs onto Henry to like support himself, but like they wind up crashing into a $75,000 wedding cake, and it's all over the news and all over the headlines. A month later, Alex is forced to go back to England, back to London, back into Kensington Palace to go on an apology tour, basically. But the two parties are now crafted, the two keepers, handlers of the prince and the first son, are spinning it as in they've always been the best of friends. It was just a silly prank that they did, and, you know, they owe $75,000 for the wedding cake. So they had to keep up a facade of friendship. So it was this photo event here and this event there, and, you know, go to this children's hospital for there. They thought there was a shooting going on at the hospital, you know, because the two royals were out in public for the first time, technically. The two political figures, there we go, royal and first son. So they were both hiding in a closet for quite some time, talking about Star Wars. It turns out it was just fireworks that a stupid kid brought into the hospital, but still, like, that was a spark, a firework spark. So as the story progresses, they exchange phone numbers. They start to plan their own meetups for the press to keep everyone quiet, and then eventually there's a New Year's Eve party that Henry kisses Alex at, and Alex is just flabbergasted and doesn't know what's going on because his whole life he's been straight. I am a straight Texas, half Mexican boy who, you know, likes girls, but realizing that he actually did fool around with his best friend Liam back in high school, back in the day, and maybe he's not straight, coming into his own bisexuality, having conversations with Henry. Henry is fully gay, has always had a crush on Alex, and took the moment. But then, like, things developed. They would start to exchange text messages, started to exchange emails, started to literally physically hook up with each other as any time that they could, whether Alex was visiting for some political event in England, whether Henry was stateside for some reason. It was so beautifully written, of the adventure of finding that true love, of finding the time for that true love, and realizing that Alex always actually did like him the entire time, not knowing what the actual feelings were. But while all this is happening, it's still the political campaign for his mom Ellen's re-election bid. So all of that's going on. There's different scandals. What independent senator is siding with the opposition? You know, what disgusting Republican senator is you know, trying to do terrible things in order to get, you know, the presidency. Senator Richards versus Madam President Claremont. That's the two battleground for the 2020 election. So it's just so cool seeing the different history of all these characters. And what I love about this book is that it technically starts in the middle of a story. That it's the re-election campaign. It's not an election campaign, it's a re-election campaign. They already did this 4 years ago. It's just a new breed. And why is it now that Alex and Henry's emails are all over the internet now? That they're all published by all the tabloids and all the newspapers? Who leaked these emails? Turns out it was Senator Richards' idea and his campaign, and they had a senator betray but then work with them, giving Alex a secret code. It was wild, bro. I gasped when all of the coming abouts came together, and I was like, no way, this was so cool. Absolutely love it. I think the best part about it, especially the finding your own, finding your home, they referenced home a lot. This was so similar in tone compared to Heartstopper. Heartstopper is very much Nick and Charlie are home for each other. And it's referenced that Alex and Henry are home for each other. It's just so cool having the different types of stories. Heartstopper is very PG in the earlier books, more PG-13 in the later. But this is more PG-13, pushing on the R bit, on the physicality description, you know, sexual encounters and stuff. Doesn't really happen at all in Heartstopper until volume 4-ish. Not really. More Nick and Charlie. The novella Nick and Charlie. But, like, it's okay. You don't have to have explicit, you know, sex scenes for constant days, you know, to get a point across. It's their love stories. Not all love stories have to be physical, and that was the cool part about Heartstopper, and that's the cool part about Red, White, and Royal Blue. It's not all physical. It's not all physicality. There's a lot of emotional stuff that Alex and Henry go through together. There's a whole international gay sex scandal between two heads of state, two different heads of state. What happens? So it's then a matter of convincing the Queen to allow Henry to be himself. That was a beautiful scene in itself. Alex was there. Oh my God, I was freaking out. Having them do their own two beautiful, cute little, what are they called? The courtship, royal courtship portraits or something like that. I'm not all too familiar with my British terms. I'm going to be completely honest. But it was really cool seeing that. The winning of the election at the end, Alex taking Henry back to his original family home in Texas. It's just so gorgeous, so gorgeous. I cannot wait for this movie to come out. I think on Prime, end of 23, something like that. They're currently filming it right now. Taylor Zahir Perez plays Alex Claremont Diaz, and I cannot wait to see Taylor. We all know and love Taylor from the Kissing Booth movies and on Netflix. I know he's done a bunch of other stuff, but that is honestly the first thing I've ever seen him in. Having his personality, knowing how he acts, how he looks, how he presents himself, it's very Alex. And I can't remember the name of the actor who plays Henry, but there's one like sneak shot like of a filming scene. It looks like they're filming the royal photos, the royal courtship photos in the park, because they're kind of wearing the same outfits that's described in the book. I can't wait. I can't wait. There's a lot of, this book is long, right? It's 418 pages. It's a thick one. It's a lot of fluff scenes that are not going to be in the movie, and that's fine. They're fluff scenes. But there's like the big staple scenes, the big staple conversations, the yellow shirts with the history, huh? Question mark. Oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait. I need one of those. I need to make one of those right now. So many different things are not going to be in the movie, and I get that. I understand that. I understand exactly why. It's long. But there are very important scenes that are definitely going to be a part of it because of the plot points. And to have Taylor play Alex, I can't wait. I can't wait. I want to be familiar with the guy who plays with the kid who plays Henry. I don't know his name. I need to look into his work because I know that if Taylor as Alex is going to do a phenomenal job, there is no way that they would butcher Henry's character, that prime, pristine, you know, royal-blooded, half-actor royal-blooded. That was the other cool thing, is that both main characters are half-bloods, quote-unquote. They're blended families. Henry's mom, Princess Catherine, married his dad, who was an actor who was who's in a few different James Bond films. Again, this is an alternate timeline. This is an alternate reality, and it all works beautifully. So he's not 100% royal. He's half actor blood, half royal blood. Alex, his dad, Oscar, is Mexican. His mom, Ellen, is the white-blooded American. So he himself is blended. He's half American blooded, half Mexican. So to have him and his sister June in the White House as the first Mexican kids of the president, very important, bringing in the new blood. Very cool. Very, very cool. But I really like that as another thing, that they're not fully blooded heads of state. They're blended heads of state, and they're blending together. Love it. Oh, love it. I want a sequel book. I need a 10 years later kind of a thing, because it leaves off with that they're going to move to Brooklyn together, so that way Alex can go to law school and Henry can work on one of the shelter projects that he and his best friend Percy Pez were working with. The actor who's going to play Pez, I can't wait to see him do that job. There's so many characters in this book. Who plays Nora? What's her name? She's in Love, Simon. She was in American Horror Stories on Hulu recently as well. I can't remember her name. She's playing Nora. Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna be great. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out for the movie, and I'm freaking out for the book. Not many times can something elicit so much emotion to me to go on a complete dissertation. This is one of those times. This book was absolutely incredible. I'm obsessed with how Casey writes. Alex himself reminds me so much of Percy Jackson in that ADD kind of mindset of always on the go, always need a list, always need a plan. Love it. Absolutely love it. Love the character development for the two characters. I am always team Charlie and Nick, and I am always team Henry and Alex. Can't wait for more. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.